Have you ever fallen for someone's potential? Story of my damn life. But anyway, have you ever fallen for someone's potential? You see their light, their depth, their possibilities, and before you know it, you're in love with the idea of them. That's Venus and Neptune energy. The dream, the devotion, and sometimes the disillusionment. It's the line between soulmate connection and spiritual mirage. All right, in this video, I'm going to be breaking down Venus and Neptune and what it means for fantasy, love, romance, soulmates, and disillusion. All right, so if you want to know more, stick around. You definitely don't want to miss this. Hello, my loves. As always, I hope that this video finds you well and in excellent spirits. If you're new around here, hi, hello, and welcome. My name is Mel. I'm a professional astrologer and sound therapist, and I'm the founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So, hi or welcome back. All right, so like I said before, this video is all about Venus and Neptune. Now, Venus and Neptune evoke that romance novel kind of love, that damsel in distress with the knight riding in on his white horse to save the day, and how beautiful that would be. I want to make an important point here in terms of Neptune. Neptune rules movies, it rules media, and it rules fantasy. So everything we've been conditioned to think and feel about relationships, oh yeah, it falls within the realm of Neptune. And so it may not be real. It's a fantasy. It's what Hollywood wants to portray love to be. And as beautiful and as dramatic and as made for the silver screen that it could be, that kind of energy could literally wreak havoc in your life or have you having the type of relationships that you actually don't want. So I definitely pay attention to the information in this video because it could really kind of make or break your relationships. All right. So without further ado, let's jump right in. So, of course, to begin, I'd like you to think about and meditate on this core idea. Venus shows what you desire. Neptune shows what you idolize. Together, they reveal your relationship with love as a fantasy or a spiritual practice. In astrology, Venus rules affection, beauty, and romance. And Neptune rules dreams, compassion, and illusion. When they come together, love becomes poetry or a puzzle. Okay. Like I said, it could really make or break your relationship. And I don't want you to think that, you know, Venus and Neptune aspects or Venus and Neptune synastry is a bad thing. It's not. I feel like on the one end, it's beautiful because it shows you the beauty, the love, the affection, the tenderness, that side of relationships, which is necessary. But at its worst, it could have you living in a fantasy that takes you far away from what you actually want and maybe even what you need. So, finding a balance between those two extremes is going to be the name of the game. Okay. But I don't want you to think that this, by any means, is me trying to say that these aspects or this synastry is bad or it's wrong or anything like that. Everything is what it is. It's always what you choose to do with it that matters. All right. So let's begin with Venus and Neptune in the natal chart. So this really speaks more to you as an individual. And I like to call it the dreamer's signature. So let's say that you've got Venus conjunct Neptune in your natal chart. You're empathetic, you're romantic, and you're artistic. And hella creative, I will say. You see beauty everywhere. Oftentimes, sometimes, well, not oftentimes and sometimes, oftentimes, even where it isn't. Now that can be great because we live in a world that is crazy ugly, right? There's such negativity and ugliness in the world, right? But you have the unique ability to see beauty everywhere. And expressing that via your creativity and even expressing that in love and in relationships is sort of you doing your part to make the world more beautiful. And I love that. Let's say you've got Venus trine or sextile to Neptune in your natal chart. Trines and sextiles yield harmony, peace, positivity, right? And so you're someone who's intuitive, compassionate, and very loving and tender. You love unconditionally and inspire others. I really want you to pay attention to that, especially the love unconditionally part. Unconditional love can be a very complex thing. Oftentimes, we don't necessarily want to give it, or we have issues receiving it. And Venus Neptune aspects in your natal chart or synastry between you and someone else, that energy of unconditional love is there. That's not to say that it's not present in relationships that don't have prominent Venus and Neptune, right? But if it does have prominent Venus and Neptune, unconditional love is there. And it could really show how you deal with that within yourself and within relationships. Okay. So that could be something that, here's the thing, astrology, and when you examine charts, you'll quickly learn that not every issue that you see out there is your issue. Your chart, everyone could be talking about infidelity, infidelity, infidelity. And surprise, there are people who don't cheat. There are people who are loyal. And your natal chart or your synastry chart could say that. That's why it's so important to know this information because it helps you quiet all the noise that's out there. Everyone's talking about cheating, cheating, cheating. Meanwhile, your relationship, that's not an issue. Don't allow that noise to tamper with or to add an issue that doesn't concern you. That's why it's so important to know your natal chart and in relationships to know your synastry chart. Okay. Now, let's say you've got Venus square or opposite to Neptune in your natal chart. Your heart wants transcendence. Like your heart is esoteric. It wants that otherworldly type of love, which may have you ignoring red flags or falling for unavailable people. That theme is something that sort of runs through the undercurrent of Venus and Neptune synastry or Venus and Neptune aspects in your natal chart. People that are unemotional, that are emotionally unavailable, falling for people that are emotionally unavailable, that speaks to that disillusionment or that illusion that Neptune provides. Neptune is wearing rose-colored glasses. It's things being foggy. It's like funhouse mirrors. You're not seeing things for what they actually are. And Neptune and Venus together in the realm of relationships, you may overlook things. You may not set boundaries, which is a very big component of Venus and Neptune synastry. Or you may fall for people who don't want you or who are not connected to you. And I'm saying that softly because I know how that hurts. I know how that hurts. As a personal matter, I've got, well, this is the sun, but I have sun and moon square to Neptune in my chart. And so, although the sun is not Venus, I can sort of understand this particular dynamic. I've experienced that a lot in my life and it doesn't feel good, right? But when you know that, and like I say, when you know better about yourself, you can do better for yourself. And this is what all of this is for. Okay. So Neptune softens Venus's edge. It makes love feel sacred, timeless, and even cosmic to a certain extent. But it can also blur boundaries, making it hard to tell fantasy from reality. Now, we're talking about this in the realm of your natal chart, so how you approach relationships generally. So it's important that you know that, especially the boundaries portion of that. Setting boundaries, especially if you have harsh Venus aspects to Neptune in your natal chart, that's going to be key for you. So now let's talk about synastry. All right. This is the soulmate mirage. So when one person's Neptune touches another's Venus, there's instant enchantment. It reminds me of, what is it? Snow White, that Disney movie, or whichever one, girl, I don't remember. Cinderella. No, Cinderella, right? And she's getting ready for the ball, and the birds are chirping, and they're tying ribbons in her hair, and the mice, although why you would have mice doing things for you, crazy. Just like Ratatouille. I'm like, if I have mice, if you have mice cooking the food, I don't fucking want it. But anyway, I digress. You know that the trees are talking to you, the plants are singing, everything is joyful. Like, yeah, that's what that feels like. Okay. Like, it's beautiful. It's what you feel love should feel like, right? But again, not necessarily the realist thing. Upon first meeting, you're just like, "Oh, this is my Prince Charming," or, "Oh, this is my queen, and this is the sun is shining and it's speaking to you," but you're overlooking the fact that this person may have some serious character flaws, or their belief systems are very different from yours. That's a real thing. That's a real thing, all right? You might feel like you've known each other forever. Oh my God, like it's written in the stars. It's kismet. It's destiny. Oh, this is my person. This is my other half. Girl, but then over time the fog clears and you realize you were both projecting an ideal instead of seeing the full truth. And when the rose-colored glasses come off, when the beer goggles come off, oh, that can be so sobering, but necessary. Now, I want you to understand, like I said before, it's a spectrum. And we need that enchantment in relationships at times. We need something to believe in. That's the ideal. But you can't ignore the truth, as ugly as it may be. There's a place for both enchantment and ugliness. And I think that even every Disney movie shows that to us. All right. So now let's talk about all of this by house. So where does this illusion play out? So what I mean by this is maybe you've got Venus and Neptune in a particular house, or maybe there's a particular house where a Venus and Neptune sort of pairing, synastry wise, is playing out. So fifth house. This denotes romantic fantasy, and you fall for the muse. It's very playful, it's very fun, it's very uber romantic. Okay. If we're talking about the seventh house, we're talking about soul contracts and karmic partners. We're talking about our soul mate, our destiny, right? Our twin flame, that part. If we're talking about the eighth house, we're talking about emotional merging. We're talking about love as salvation. Yeah, it can get that deep. And if that is something that's affecting your chart or your synastry chart, oof, deep. Deep isn't even the word for that. And then let's talk about the 12th house. This is secret loves, spiritual bonds, or unspoken longing. Oh my gosh. All of these things sound so great and so deep while simultaneously, at least for me, sounding nauseating. Because it can really, again, it could really make or break relationships, but it could really be beautiful and simultaneously be frightening or terrifying, depending. Okay. Now, Venus and Neptune sort of together, they teach the balance between compassion and clarity, between seeing someone's soul, yet still honoring their humanity. That's the balance that I'm talking about. That balance between the ideal and the reality. The balance between someone's divinity and someone's humanity. That's everything that Venus and Neptune discuss. And remember, Venus is the planet of balance. She's the planet of fairness. So when you pair her up with Neptune, the reminder is to find and experience the beauty and the spirituality and the higher octave of love in relationships while not ignoring the reality. Okay, and speaking of, the higher octave of this aspect is not delusion, but it is actually divine love, but with boundaries. And I think that's the best way to sum this pairing up: divine love with boundaries. So now let us pause for a moment of reflection and self inquiry. So here's your reflection for today. Are you loving someone's reality or their potential? The universe reminds us that unconditional love doesn't mean ignoring the truth. So, especially if you have prominent Venus and Neptune in your natal chart, or you experience it synastry wise with a partner, examine where you are falling into the illusion of someone as opposed to the reality of who they are. And where can you strike a balance between ideal and real? Take some time to reflect, think, meditate, and journal on that today. If you want to explore further when it comes to how you show up in relationships and your Venus archetype, then you're definitely going to want to take the free seduction style quiz. It's a fun little quiz where you'll not only understand your archetype, but you'll get an accompanying PDF document that can take you a little further into the information. All right. And if you're interested in that, the link is in the description box below. And if you're ready to understand your full chart, then sign up for the wait list for my self-paced course, Charted. I'll be releasing this course in the very near future, and it's where I teach you how to interpret your placements and spot patterns like this for yourself. So if you're interested, the link to that wait list is in the description box below. And of course, you can always come hang out with me in Cosmic Collective, which is my online private community where we unpack the truth behind soulmate connections every week during Cosmic Chemistry Fridays. They're like my open office hours where we go deeper into the week's topics. I do a case study, and you have the opportunity to ask questions and commune with other astrology enthusiasts. All right. And if you're interested in that, you can scan the QR code that's on the screen right now, or you can hit up the link in the description box below. I look very forward to seeing you in there. All right, my love. So that's pretty much all I've got for you for this video on Venus and Neptune and what they can show you about romance, fantasy, and soulmates. All right. So hopefully you got at least one important piece of information that you can use to go forward in your relationships successfully. All right. So join me tomorrow where we'll discuss Venus and Uranus and what they have to say about freedom in relationships. All right. So like, comment, subscribe, and set notifications so you don't miss any of the good stuff that's to come. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.